Before we dive in, please remember that the information in this video is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not intended as financial, investment, or career advice. An MBA is a significant personal and financial decision, and you should always conduct your own thorough research and consult with qualified professionals before making any choices. All figures and examples in this presentation are based on historical data and case studies, and individual results will vary. Let me tell you about two people. We'll call them Sarah and Michael. 5 years into her marketing career, Sarah hit a ceiling, a hard one. She was brilliant at her job, a true performer, but all the senior leadership roles, the ones with real strategic control, seemed to go to people with 3 little letters after their name: MBA. She looked at the top-tier full-time programs at prestigious U.S. universities and saw a $200,000 price tag, plus 2 years of lost income. It felt like an impossible mountain to climb. Then, she started exploring the new wave of online MBAs from highly respected, accredited universities. It was a fraction of the cost and she could keep her job. Fast forward 18 months. Sarah has the degree, a promotion to director at a rival company, a 40% pay increase, and she did it all without ever leaving her home office. Now let's talk about Michael. Michael was in a similar spot, a talented project manager feeling stuck. He saw the same ads Sarah did, promising flexibility and a fast track to the C-suite. He enrolled in an online MBA program that cost him $65,000. He put in the work, he stayed up late after putting his kids to bed. He earned the degree. But when he started applying for new jobs, crickets. His degree didn't seem to open any new doors. Recruiters weren't impressed. He had the debt, he had the diploma, but he didn't have the career acceleration he was sold on. He was right back where he started, only now with a massive student loan payment every month. So what was the difference? Sarah and Michael both got an online MBA. They both invested tens of thousands of dollars and countless hours. Yet one's decision catapulted her career, and the other's became a massive financial drag. That is the core question we are going to answer in detail right now. This is not another generic pros and cons video. We are going on a deep dive into the 2026 landscape for online Master of Business Administration degrees from U.S. universities. By the end of this journey, you will have a powerful, crystal-clear framework to determine if this path is a brilliant strategic move for you, or a devastatingly expensive mistake. We are going to dismantle the 3 biggest myths that trap people like Michael in debt. We will expose the hidden costs that go far beyond the tuition sticker price. We will give you the 5 critical, non-negotiable questions you must ask any admissions counselor before you even think about filling out an application. And most importantly, we will dissect the anatomy of a high return on investment online MBA. What specific features, accreditations, and network components separate the programs that mint future leaders from the ones that are little more than digital degree mills? The goal here is simple: to arm you with the data, the insights, and the critical thinking to navigate one of the most important career and financial decisions of your life. The very idea of an online degree used to be a punchline. For years, it was associated with for-profit colleges and questionable credentials. The traditional wisdom was clear. The real value of an MBA wasn't just the curriculum. It was the campus, the late-night study groups, the face-to-face networking with future titans of industry. It was the brand of being there in person. But the world has fundamentally changed. The global pandemic didn't just normalize remote work. It stress-tested and legitimized online collaboration on a massive scale. The very companies you want to work for now run multi-billion-dollar projects across continents using Zoom and Slack. The idea that meaningful connection and high-level learning can only happen in a physical classroom is starting to look incredibly outdated. Because of this shift, top-tier, world-renowned U.S. universities, the ones with the powerful brands and alumni networks, have poured hundreds of millions of dollars into building out their online MBA programs. We're talking about schools like the University of Michigan's Ross School of Business, Carnegie Mellon's Tepper School, and the University of North Carolina's Kenan-Flagler Business School. These aren't MBA-light programs. They often feature the same rigorous curriculum, taught by the same world-class faculty, as their on-campus counterparts. The diploma often doesn't even say online. This has created a paradox, a confusing and high-stakes marketplace for ambitious professionals like you. On one hand, you have these elite, highly vetted online programs that can genuinely offer a pathway to career growth with unprecedented flexibility. On the other hand, the digital space is flooded with lower quality, less reputable programs that use slick marketing to lure in students, making bold claims they can't back up. They're all competing for your attention, all using the same buzzwords: flexible, affordable, career-focused. So how on earth do you tell the difference? How do you separate the signal from the noise when a $100,000 decision is on the line? It starts by understanding that the question is no longer, is an online MBA worth it? That's a 2015 question. The 2026 question is far more specific and personal. Which type of online MBA from which type of institution will be worth it for me and my specific career goals? Answering that requires a new way of thinking. You can't just look at rankings from a magazine. You can't just listen to the promises in a university's brochure. You have to become a savvy consumer, an investigator of your own future. You need to analyze these programs like a venture capitalist analyzing a startup, looking for evidence of future returns, not just past performance. And why is 2026 the critical year for this conversation? Because we're at an inflection point. The first wave of graduates from these top-tier online programs have been in the workforce for several years now. We finally have the data. We can track their career progression. We can see which programs are actually delivering on their promises of salary bumps and promotions. We can see how employers in a post-pandemic world truly value these degrees. Furthermore, the rise of artificial intelligence in the workplace is changing the skills that leaders need. A modern MBA program, whether online or on campus, must be teaching you how to manage teams that leverage AI, how to make data-driven decisions in an age of machine learning, and how to think strategically when technology is automating routine tasks. Many older, slower-moving programs haven't adapted. Choosing the wrong program in 2026 could mean you're graduating with an obsolete skill set. So let's get down to business. Before we even talk about money, networks, or specific schools, we have to start by tearing down the single biggest, most pervasive lie about an MBA education, a lie that applies to both online and on-campus programs, and one that costs aspiring students dearly. It's the idea that the degree itself is the product, that you are paying $100,000 for a piece of paper and the knowledge it represents. This is fundamentally wrong, and it's the root cause of almost every bad MBA decision. The degree isn't the product. It's the key that unlocks the product. The real product you are buying is access. Access to a new network, access to a new set of career opportunities, and access to a new perception of your own brand in the marketplace. Once you understand that, everything changes. It reframes how you evaluate every single program, and it's the first step in distinguishing a Sarah from a Michael. So let's talk about them. Sarah and Michael are not just hypothetical people, they are mindsets. They represent two fundamentally different approaches to the MBA question, and understanding which one you are is critical. Michael sees the MBA as a transaction. He thinks, I will pay X dollars and spend Y hours to receive Z credential, which should result in a promotion or a pay raise. He's focused on the direct, line-item return on investment. He's looking for the cheapest, fastest path to the 3 letters on his resume. He's the person who sorts online MBA programs by price from low to high. Sarah sees the MBA as a transformation. She understands it's not just about a piece of paper. It's about rewiring your brain. It's about building a new personal ecosystem. She asks, what kind of professional do I want to become in 3 to 5 years? What skills, what network, and what brand do I need to build to get there? And which program is the best platform to facilitate that transformation? Her first question isn't about cost, it's about value. And this is where most people get tripped up. They can't articulate the value beyond a potential salary bump. So let's break down that value. Forget the marketing brochures and the university websites for a second. The true value of a top-tier MBA, whether it's online or on campus, rests on 3 core pillars. Get these right, and the investment can have incredible potential. Get them wrong, and you're just buying the world's most expensive piece of paper. Pillar number 1, the network. Now I know what you're thinking. The network? For an online program? Isn't that the whole reason people go in person? To clink glasses at happy hours and build lifelong bonds. That's the 2010 way of thinking. In 2026, the nature of professional networking has fundamentally shifted. The most powerful networks are no longer built solely in boardrooms or at campus mixers. They are built on Slack channels, in virtual breakout rooms, and through intentional one-on-one video calls. Think about it. In a traditional full-time program, you're networked with 30 other people in your cohort who are all, for the most part, unemployed students in the same city. In a top online MBA program, your project group might consist of a marketing director for a Fortune 500 in New York, a software engineering manager at a startup in Austin, a supply chain expert for the military based in Germany, and a healthcare administrator in Chicago. They aren't students taking a break from their careers. They are active senior professionals applying the lessons from class to their real-world jobs that very week. The network isn't a future asset you hope to cash in someday. It becomes a real-time, personal board of directors. You're struggling with a product launch? You can post in your cohort's channel and get immediate feedback from 3 VPs of marketing. You need to understand the financial implications of a new cloud computing contract? The CFO in your finance class will walk you through it. This is a level of immediate practical relevance that full-time programs often can't match. The challenge, of course, is that it requires effort. The network won't fall into your lap. You have to be the one to schedule the virtual coffee chat, to actively participate in discussions, to be a giver, not just a taker. A Michael signs off the second the Zoom lecture ends. A Sarah stays on for the optional virtual hallway chat and schedules follow-ups with the 2 people who made the most insightful comments. The online format doesn't eliminate the network. It just filters for the most intentional networkers. Pillar number 2. The curriculum. But let's call it what it really is, the C-suite toolkit. The point of an MBA curriculum isn't to make you an expert accountant or a master marketer. You have specialists for that. The point is to teach you the language of every part of the business so you can stand in a room with the CFO, the CMO, and the head of operations and not only understand what they're saying but challenge their assumptions and synthesize their insights into a coherent strategy. It's about pattern recognition. You learn to see a change in a financial statement not as a number, but as a symptom of a potential operational problem. You learn to see a marketing campaign not as a series of ads, but as a strategic investment with measurable risk and return. The big fear with online programs used to be that the curriculum was a watered-down version of the real thing. For diploma mills, that's still true. But for the elite U.S. universities, the Michigans, the USCs, the Carnegie Mellons of the world, the opposite is happening. They are pouring millions into educational technology, hiring instructional designers to create a learning experience that is often more rigorous and demanding than its on-campus counterpart. Why? Because you can't hide in the back of the class on Zoom. You're expected to contribute. The classes are often taught by the very same world-renowned professors, and the coursework is identical. The key difference lies in the format: synchronous versus asynchronous. Asynchronous is the pre-recorded lectures and discussion boards you can do on your own time. Synchronous means live, scheduled classes where you interact with your professor and classmates in real time. The best online programs blend both. A Michael might look for a purely asynchronous program so it doesn't interfere with his schedule. A Sarah looks for a program with a strong synchronous component because she knows that's where the real learning happens, in the debate, in the discussion, in being cold called by a finance professor to defend your valuation of a company in front of 60 high-achieving peers. That pressure forges you. And that brings us to the third and most misunderstood pillar, the credential. The credential isn't just the diploma you hang on the wall. It is a powerful passive signaling device. It's a cognitive shortcut for the rest of the world. Before you even open your mouth, a degree from a highly respected university changes the assumptions people make about you. It signals rigor, ambition, and a certain level of intellectual horsepower. It's a brand association. You are, in effect, licensing the university's brand and attaching it to your own. This is where the online stigma question comes in, and it's the number one fear people have. Will my diploma say online MBA? For any top-tier, reputable U.S. university, the answer is an emphatic no. Your degree will say Master of Business Administration from the University of North Carolina. Period. It is the exact same degree that full-time students receive. The transcript is the same. The alumni status is the same. Why? Because the university is staking its centuries-old reputation on the quality of its graduates, regardless of the delivery method. They have determined that the academic rigor and the quality of the student body in their online programs meet their institutional standard of excellence. A Michael doesn't get this. He might go for a cheaper, less known for profit online university because the credential is faster. He doesn't realize that a weak credential isn't a neutral signal. It can actually be a negative signal to sophisticated employers, suggesting he chose the path of least resistance. Sarah understands that the brand of the school is paramount. She knows that the credential's job is to open doors that were previously closed. It gets your resume past the automated screening software, gets you the interview. It gives you a baseline of credibility in a meeting with senior executives. After that, it's up to you to prove you have the substance to back it up, substance you built through the network and the curriculum. So we have the network, which provides the opportunity. We have the curriculum, which provides the capability. And we have the credential, which provides the credibility. These three pillars are the foundation of a transformational MBA experience. But evaluating a program on these three things alone is still not enough. It's what gets you 80% of the way there, but it's the final 20% that makes all the difference. There's a fourth invisible element that separates the programs that act as career rocket fuel from the ones that are just a 2-year sentence of case studies and debt. It's the secret that the best universities know but rarely advertise, and it's the one thing that will ultimately determine if an online MBA is truly worth it for you in 2026. That secret is the difference between a digital classroom and a digital ecosystem. Almost every online MBA program in 2026 offers a digital classroom. It's the baseline. It's what you probably picture in your head. A portal where you log in, watch pre-recorded lectures from a world-class professor, download PDFs of case studies, and submit your assignments by Sunday at midnight. You might post on a discussion forum, responding to 2 classmates' posts to get your participation grade. It's clean, it's efficient, and it delivers the academic content. It effectively transfers knowledge from the university's brain to yours. And for some people, that's enough. But a digital classroom alone is a hollow victory. It's getting the sheet music without ever hearing the orchestra. Because the knowledge itself, the frameworks, the accounting principles, the marketing models, that's a commodity. You can get most of it from a handful of brilliant books, a few online courses, or even from dedicated YouTube channels. The degree, the piece of paper, is the credential. But the transformation, the real tangible career acceleration that justifies a $60,000, $80,000, or even $150,000 price tag, that doesn't happen in the digital classroom. It happens in the digital ecosystem. A digital ecosystem is alive. It's messy, it's dynamic, and it's built on human connection, just mediated by technology. It's the university's entire social and professional infrastructure, intentionally and masterfully extended to its online students. It's not just about giving you access to the content, it's about embedding you into the culture and, most importantly, the network. This is where the top-tier universities are light years ahead. They understand that the MBA's value was never just about the curriculum. It was about the people you're in the trenches with, the alumni who open doors, and the career services that connect you to opportunities you didn't even know existed. Replicating that online is the hardest thing to do, and it's the only thing that matters. Let me tell you a story about 2 people. Let's call them Sarah and Michael. Both are mid-level project managers in the tech industry. Both make around $90,000 a year, and both decide to enroll in a top 40 ranked online MBA program in 2024 to accelerate their careers. On paper, the programs look identical. Same price, same ranking, same core curriculum. Sarah enrolls in a program that excels at the digital classroom. She's diligent. She watches every lecture, aces her exams, and writes brilliant analyses of Harvard Business School case studies. She learns Porter's 5 forces, she masters discounted cash flow analysis, and she can build a marketing plan in her sleep. But her interactions with classmates are almost entirely through asynchronous forum posts. They're polite but transactional. Great point, Sarah. I'd add that. She never speaks to most of them in real time. The program offers networking, which turns out to be a LinkedIn group that's mostly just people posting their new promotions. Career Services sends out a weekly email blast with job postings pulled from Indeed. After 2 years and $90,000 in tuition, Sarah graduates with honors. She has a fantastic new line on her resume and a much deeper understanding of business theory. She starts applying for senior manager roles. The MBA helps her get past the initial screening, but from there, she's on her own, sending applications into the same digital void as everyone else. Her ROI is positive, but it's slow, and it's entirely dependent on her own grind. Now let's look at Michael. He enrolls in a program that has built a true digital ecosystem. From week 1, he's placed in a cohort of 6 people from diverse industries. A finance guy from New York, a healthcare administrator from Chicago, an Air Force officer stationed in Germany. They meet twice a week in a mandatory live video session with their professor. The conversation is dynamic, chaotic, and brilliant. After the lecture, they're sent into virtual breakout rooms to solve a real problem. They argue, they collaborate, they build a genuine rapport. For their capstone project, they don't just analyze a 20-year-old case study. The school pairs them with a real-life startup to develop a market entry strategy. They're presenting their findings not to a professor, but to the startup's actual CEO and board. Halfway through his first year, the university's Career Services, which has coaches dedicated specifically to online MBA students, hosts a virtual networking event for the tech industry. It's not just a big awkward Zoom call. It's a curated event using advanced software that facilitates one-on-one, timed video chats with alumni. Michael gets 10 minutes with a director of product at Google, an alum from the class of 2018. They hit it off. The alum tells Michael about an upcoming opening on his team and says, "When you're ready to apply, don't use the main portal. Send your resume directly to me." 2 years and $90,000 later, Michael graduates. But he doesn't just have a degree. He has a cohort he can call for advice for the rest of his life. He has hands-on consulting experience with a real company on his resume. And he has a warm introduction that leads to a job offer at his dream company, a job he never would have even seen on a public job board. Sarah paid for information. Michael invested in access. They paid the same price, but they bought two completely different products. One was a course. The other was a career launchpad. So, how can you tell the difference when you're looking at these programs? How do you spot the digital ecosystem hiding amongst the dozens of shiny digital classrooms? You have to become a detective and look for specific clues. First, scrutinize the curriculum's delivery method. The red flag is a program that is 100% asynchronous. That's code for pre-recorded videos and a forum. Look for programs that mandate live synchronous classes. Yes, it's less flexible. You have to show up on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. But that's the point. That forced interaction is where relationships are built. If the program brags about letting you do everything on your own time, be wary. That's often a sign of an isolating experience. Second, ask brutally specific questions about networking. Don't accept vague answers like, "We have a robust alumni network." Ask them, "Can you give me 3 examples of virtual networking events you hosted for online students in the last 6 months? How do you facilitate connections between current online students and alumni in my specific industry? What platform do you use beyond a simple LinkedIn group?" A program with a real ecosystem will have concrete, impressive answers. They'll tell you about their mentorship platform, their virtual industry weeks, and their dedicated alumni relations manager for the online program. A digital classroom will give you a fuzzy corporate speak answer. Third, investigate their career services. Ask if they have career coaches specifically trained to handle the needs of experienced, working professionals in an online environment. An on-campus coach who primarily helps 22-year-olds find their first job is not what you need. You need someone who understands how to help you pivot, how to leverage your existing experience with your new degree, and how to negotiate a senior-level salary. Ask them for data. What percentage of online MBA graduates seeking a new job found one within 3 months of graduation? What was the average salary increase? If they can't or won't provide that specific data for their online program, that is a massive red flag. And finally, look for immersive experiences. The best programs have found a way to bridge the digital divide with the physical world. They might have a mandatory 1-week residency on campus at the beginning of the program. They might offer optional global immersion trips where you and your online classmates travel to another country for 10 days to consult for an international company. These experiences are expensive and logistically difficult, but they are the ultimate sign that a university is deeply invested in building a true cohort, a real community, and not just selling a credential. They are the ultimate proof of a digital ecosystem. Choosing the right program isn't about picking the highest-ranked school you can get into. It's about finding the best digital ecosystem you can afford. Because in 2026, the MBA is no longer just a signal of what you know. It's a platform for who you can meet. The tuition for both Sarah's and Michael's programs was the same, but the value they received was worlds apart. One bought a static asset, knowledge. The other invested in a dynamic network that will continue to generate opportunities for years to come. So now you know the single most important factor in determining an online MBA's worth. But this brings up the big scary question. Even with the best ecosystem in the world, these programs carry a staggering price tag. We're talking about a cost equivalent to a house down payment in many parts of the country. How do you run the numbers to figure out if it's a brilliant financial move or a catastrophic mistake? The ROI calculation is not what the university brochures tell you. They have their own way of spinning the numbers. We're going to break down the real, unfiltered math, the formula you should actually use to see if this massive investment will pay off for you. So let's build that formula step by step. Forget the glossy brochures and the smiling alumni on the homepage for a minute. This is the back-of-the-napkin calculation that could save you from a 6-figure mistake. The first number, the one everyone focuses on, is tuition. But even this is a trap. The sticker price you see on the university's website is almost never the final price. Let's say a top 25 online MBA program lists its tuition at $120,000. That's already a staggering number. But that's just the base. Now add the mandatory fees. There's a technology fee, a student services fee, a graduation fee. These can easily add another $5,000 to $10,000 over the course of the program. Then there are books and software. Even in a digital program, you'll be required to buy access to case studies, simulations, and digital textbooks. Budget another $2,000 to $4,000 for that. And here's a big one many online students forget: mandatory residencies or immersion weeks. Many top programs require you to come to campus 2 or 3 times for a long weekend or a full week. That's a flight, a hotel, food, and transportation. For a 2-year program, these trips could realistically add another $5,000 to $8,000 to your total bill. So, that $120,000 program? It's now pushing $140,000. That's your real out-of-pocket cost for the degree itself. This is the first part of our equation, the total program cost, not the sticker price. But here's where the calculation gets really interesting, because the biggest cost of an online MBA isn't what you pay the university. It's the cost of your time. This is the concept of opportunity cost, and it is the single most overlooked factor in this entire decision. Because you're likely keeping your full-time job, you're not losing your salary like a traditional MBA student. That's the big selling point, right? But you are losing something just as valuable: your free time. A reputable online MBA program is not a walk in the park. You should expect to dedicate, on average, 15 to 20 hours per week to your studies. That's reading, lectures, group projects, and assignments. 15 to 20 hours every single week for 2 straight years. Now let's quantify that. What else could you do with that time? Let's imagine a professional named Sarah. She's a software project manager making $95,000 a year. She's considering that $140,000 online MBA. But what if she didn't? What if, for the next 2 years, she dedicated just 10 of those hours a week, not even the full 20, to developing a new skill set? Maybe she uses that time to get a highly sought-after certification in Agile or cloud computing. Maybe she uses it to build a portfolio of side projects on GitHub to demonstrate her expertise. Or maybe she starts a small consulting side hustle, helping local businesses with their project management for a few hours a week. Let's be conservative. Let's say that side hustle only brings in an extra $500 a month. Over 2 years, that's $12,000 of additional income she could have earned. And if she got that cloud certification, historical data from industry reports suggests it could have led to a $10,000 raise at her current job within that same 2-year period, without the MBA. So, her opportunity cost isn't zero. It's the $12,000 in lost side income plus the potential $10,000 raise she delayed. That's a $22,000 opportunity cost. So, our formula now looks like this: total program cost, $140,000, plus opportunity cost, $22,000. The true investment Sarah is making is $162,000. This is the number you need to be honest with yourself about. This is the mountain you have to climb. Now for the other side of the equation, the payoff. This is what makes it all worth it, right? The legendary post-MBA salary bump. This is where schools love to flash impressive numbers. You'll see headlines like, "Graduates see a 150% salary increase," or "Average starting salary of $175,000. And this is where you need to become a financial detective. These numbers are often misleading, not because they're false, but because they lack context. That 150% increase? It might be based on a student who was making a very low salary before the program. That average starting salary of $175,000? It's likely heavily skewed by a small number of graduates who went into high-paying fields like investment banking or private equity in New York or San Francisco. If you're like Sarah, a project manager in a city like Austin or Denver, that number is almost meaningless to you. Your first step is to ignore the average salary. Dig deeper into the school's employment report. Look for the median salary, which is a much more realistic figure because it isn't skewed by a few outliers. Then you have to filter even further. Don't look at the median for the entire class. Find the median salary for graduates who went into your industry and your desired function. If you're in marketing, you need to find the median salary for MBA grads who took marketing roles. It will be vastly different from the median for finance roles. A good employment report will break this down for you. If it doesn't, that's a red flag. Let's go back to Sarah. Her pre-MBA salary is $95,000. The school's flashy marketing says the average salary is $175,000. But she does her homework. She digs into the report and finds that the median salary for graduates going into the tech industry as project managers is actually $130,000. That's still a fantastic outcome. It represents a $35,000 annual increase. This is her realistic salary uplift. This is the number that matters. Not the marketing fluff, but the data-driven projection for someone on her specific career path. So now we have all the pieces to calculate the most important metric of all, your break-even point. Her total investment is $162,000. Her realistic annual return on that investment is $35,000. To find out how long it will take to pay off the investment, you simply divide the total cost by the annual uplift. $162,000 divided by $35,000. The answer is 4.6. It will take Sarah 4.6 years after graduation to recoup her investment. Remember, she also spent 2 years in the program. So from the day she enrolls, she's looking at a nearly 7-year journey before she is financially in the green on her decision. 7 years. This is the unfiltered math. This is the calculation you must do. Total program cost plus opportunity cost, divided by your realistic salary uplift. This gives you your payback period. Is a 7-year payback period worth it? For some, absolutely. For others, it's a sobering reality check that makes them reconsider. The decision is deeply personal. Maybe your employer is footing a large portion of the bill, which dramatically shortens the payback period. Maybe you receive a generous scholarship. These factors can completely change the equation. But this financial framework is your essential starting point. It grounds your decision in reality, not in the aspirational fantasy sold by university marketing departments. It forces you to ask the hard questions and seek out the real data. Of course, this entire calculation is based on tangible financial returns. But what about the intangible benefits? What is the dollar value of a powerful new network? What is the return on investment of newfound confidence, or the ability to pivot to an entirely new industry? These are the X factors that don't fit neatly into a spreadsheet, but can often provide the most profound value of all. And that is exactly where we're going next. Let's talk about the hidden curriculum, the unseen RO, because the true value of an elite online MBA isn't just in the salary data or the promotion statistics. It's forged in the spaces between the lectures, in the late-night virtual study sessions, and in the fundamental rewiring of how you see yourself and the business world. First, let's dismantle the biggest myth about online education. The idea that you can't build a powerful network. People imagine a lonely experience staring at a screen, but the reality of a top-tier program in 2026 is the exact opposite. It's not less networking, it's a different kind of networking. It's more deliberate, more diverse, and in many ways more durable. Think about a traditional in-person program. Your network is geographically limited to whoever could afford to quit their job and move to that specific city. But in a top online MBA, your cohort is a curated global brain trust. Your project team for a corporate finance class might have a software engineer calling in from Silicon Valley, a brand manager from Procter & Gamble in Cincinnati, a U.S. Army major stationed in Germany, and an operations lead for a clean energy startup in Austin. This isn't just a collection of contacts. It's a living, breathing cross-section of the global economy. You're not just learning from professors, you're learning from the frontline experience of your peers. The insights you gain about how business actually works in different industries and countries are invaluable. And the bonds you form are forged in fire. You're not just chatting over coffee. You're building a complex financial model together at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday, relying on each other to deliver. You see who's reliable, who's a creative problem solver, who can lead under pressure. That builds a level of professional trust that a casual happy hour never could. Consider a case study based on a common pattern we see. Let's call her Jessica, a mid-level manager at a healthcare company in the Midwest. She felt stuck. In her online MBA, she was grouped with a student named Ben, who was a product director at a fast-growing fintech company on the West Coast. They worked on a semester-long strategic management project, dissecting a company's market entry strategy. They debated, they collaborated, they impressed each other with their work ethic. A year after graduation, Ben's company was expanding into the healthcare payment space. Who was the first person he thought of to lead that new division? Jessica. He didn't just know her name from a roster. He knew how she thought, how she executed. That opportunity would have been completely invisible to her otherwise. Her network didn't just give her a contact, it gave her a champion. That is the new networking. The second, and perhaps most profound, X factor is the confidence catalyst. So many brilliant, talented people suffer from a nagging sense of imposter syndrome. They're experts in their narrow field, maybe engineering or marketing or sales, but when they sit in a boardroom and the conversation turns to discounted cash flow or supply chain optimization, they feel like they're faking it. They stay silent, hoping no one asks them a direct question. An online MBA systematically dismantles that fear. It's a 2-year-long exposure therapy for your business insecurities. You're thrown into the deep end over and over again. You have to build a marketing plan for a failing brand. You have to analyze a balance sheet and defend your investment thesis to a group of incredibly smart peers who will poke holes in your logic. You have to negotiate a mock merger where every word matters. And slowly, something incredible happens. The jargon becomes your vocabulary. The complex frameworks become your tools. You stop just knowing the definition of working capital and start understanding how it breathes life into a company. You don't just learn the theory of leadership. You're forced to lead a dysfunctional team of high achievers to a successful outcome. Imagine a professional we'll call Michael. He was a phenomenal software developer, a true artist with code, but his career had hit a ceiling. He was terrified of public speaking and avoided any role that required presenting to leadership. His online MBA program was his personal crucible. The first few presentations were a disaster. He was nervous, he stumbled. But the program is designed for this. He got feedback, not judgment. He took a class on corporate communications. He practiced with his study group. By his final capstone project, he was the one leading the presentation to a panel of mock venture capitalists, calmly and persuasively articulating a complex business plan. He didn't just earn a degree. He unlocked a new version of himself. That newfound confidence is what allowed him to walk into his boss's office and not just ask for a promotion, but to pitch and lead a brand new tech initiative for the entire company. That's not a soft skill. It's a career accelerant. Finally, let's talk about the ultimate X factor, the power to pivot. For many, this is the entire reason for getting an MBA. They're on a path they no longer feel passionate about, and they need a bridge to a new industry or function. An online MBA is one of the most effective bridges ever constructed because it allows you to build it without demolishing your current life. You can keep your job, your income, your stability, while you systematically retool for your next chapter. It provides the 3 essential ingredients for a successful career change. First is the foundational knowledge. You can't just decide to switch from human resources to brand management. You need to understand market segmentation, consumer behavior, and digital advertising analytics. The MBA provides that structured, comprehensive curriculum that fills in your knowledge gaps and makes you a credible candidate. Second is the signaling and credibility. The degree itself is a powerful signal to recruiters. It says you are serious, you are capable of rigorous analytical thought, and you have invested significant time and money in your own development. It gets your resume past the automated filters and into the hands of a human being, a door that might have been firmly shut otherwise. And third, it all comes back to the network. Your classmates become your secret weapon. The person who has spent 10 years in the industry you want to break into, they're now in your study group. They can tell you what the job is really like, what skills matter most, and they can review your resume to make sure it speaks the right language. Take Maria, a lawyer at a corporate firm. She was successful but unfulfilled. Her dream was to work on the business side of the renewable energy sector. Through her online MBA, she took every energy-related elective she could. She used a class project to do a deep dive analysis on a solar energy company. That project became a powerful talking point in interviews. More importantly, she connected with 2 classmates who already worked at top renewable energy firms. They mentored her, prepped her for interviews, and flagged internal job postings for her. When she graduated, she didn't just have a degree. She had a portfolio of relevant work, a network of insiders, and the business acumen to land a strategy role at her dream company. She effectively de-risked her entire career transition. So when we talk about the value of an online MBA, we have to look beyond the immediate math. The network is not just a list of names. It's a global board of personal advisors. The confidence is not just a feeling. It's a tangible asset that unlocks opportunities. And the ability to pivot is not just a backup plan. It's the freedom to design the career and the life you truly want. But this transformative potential doesn't come from just any program. The difference between a top-tier online MBA and a digital degree mill can be the difference between a career launchpad and a catastrophic waste of time and money. So how do you tell them apart? How do you find the program that will actually deliver on this promise? And how do you navigate the confusing landscape of rankings, accreditations, and marketing hype? That's where we're going next. The first, most crucial filter, the one that will eliminate 90% of the noise and protect you from outright scams, is accreditation. This is not a suggestion. It is a non-negotiable line in the sand. Think of it as the foundation of a skyscraper. Without it, the entire structure is worthless no matter how shiny the windows are. There are two types of accreditation you need to know about: institutional and programmatic. Institutional accreditation applies to the entire university. It's what makes sure your credits can transfer and your degree is recognized. But for an MBA, you need to go a level deeper to programmatic accreditation. This is an endorsement specifically for the business school itself. And in the world of business schools, there is one gold standard: the AACSB, the Association to Advance Collegiate Schools of Business. Getting this accreditation is a rigorous multi-year process. It means the school has been scrutinized on everything from the quality of its faculty and the relevance of its curriculum to its student outcomes and its commitment to continuous improvement. Less than 6% of the world's business schools have earned this distinction. If a program has AACSB accreditation, you know it meets a very high bar for quality. Other legitimate accreditations exist like the ACBSP and the IACBE, and they are perfectly fine for many solid regional programs. But if you are aiming for a top-tier experience with maximum brand recognition and career mobility, you should be filtering your search for AACSB-accredited programs. So here's your first action item. When you land on a program's website, scroll to the bottom. If you don't see that AACSB logo, or at least one of the other recognized ones, close the tab. Seriously, your journey with that school is over. It's the fastest way to protect your investment. Once you've cleared the accreditation hurdle, you'll enter the dizzying world of rankings. U.S. News and World Report, Poets and Quants, the Princeton Review, the Financial Times, they all publish annual lists of the best online MBA programs. It's tempting to just look at the #1 spot and call it a day, but that's a rookie mistake. Rankings are not a definitive statement of quality. They are a snapshot based on a specific methodology, and those methodologies can vary wildly. One ranking might heavily weigh student GMAT scores and acceptance rates, metrics that are becoming less relevant in the online space. Another might focus more on student satisfaction surveys or the credentials of the faculty. Still another might prioritize the career outcomes of graduates 3 years post-MBA. So how do you use them? Not as a Bible, but as a guide. First, look for consistency. A school that consistently appears in the top 25 across multiple different rankings is almost certainly a high-quality institution. It shows they're performing well across a variety of metrics. Be wary of a school that's unranked one year and suddenly shoots into the top 10 the next. It might be a sign of a great new program, or it could be a sign that they figured out how to game that specific rankings formula. Second, dig into the methodology. Don't just look at the final number. Look at how they got that number. If you're a mid-career professional and career advancement is your top priority, you should care more about the ranking that heavily weights post-MBA salary lift and promotion rates, and less about the one that focuses on the average GMAT score of incoming students. The rankings are a starting point for your research, not the end point. They help you build a list of potential schools to investigate further. Now, with a short list of accredited, well-regarded programs, it's time to perform an X-ray on the curriculum itself. This is where you separate the truly integrated online programs from the lazy cash grabs that are little more than recorded lectures from a campus classroom. A great online MBA is not a correspondence course. It is a purposefully designed digital learning experience. The first thing to look at is the delivery model. Is it synchronous, asynchronous, or a hybrid? Asynchronous means you can watch lectures and complete assignments on your own schedule, within certain deadlines. This offers maximum flexibility, which is a huge draw for busy professionals. But the downside can be a sense of isolation and the need for incredible self-discipline. Synchronous learning involves live, scheduled classes over video conference. You're interacting with your professor and classmates in real time. This builds community, facilitates dynamic discussion, and holds you accountable. The trade-off, of course, is a loss of flexibility. You have to be online at a specific time every week. The best programs often use a hybrid approach. They might use asynchronous delivery for foundational lectures, freeing up the precious synchronous time for intense, interactive case study discussions, group projects, and Q&A sessions with the professor. Ask the admissions team for a clear breakdown of their model, and if possible, ask to sit in on a virtual class to get a feel for the dynamic. Next, look at what you'll actually be learning. Examine the core curriculum. Does it cover the modern business fundamentals you need, not just finance and marketing, but also data analytics, digital transformation, and leadership in a global context? Then, look at the electives and specializations. This is where you tailor the degree to your career goals. A general MBA is valuable, but an MBA with a specialization in healthcare management from a school known for its medical center, or a concentration in supply chain logistics from a university near a major shipping hub, can be a game changer. Does the program offer a deep bench of electives in the area you're passionate about, taught by faculty who are leading experts in that field? Or do they just offer a handful of generic survey courses? The depth and relevance of the curriculum is a direct indicator of the program's value. But an MBA is so much more than what happens in the classroom, virtual or otherwise. You are not just paying for information. You are paying for an ecosystem designed for career transformation. And for online students, this is where many programs fall flat. Your next area of investigation must be career services. And you need to be surgical with your questions. Do not accept vague answers. Ask them, do you have dedicated career advisors specifically for online MBA students? Or are we lumped in with the undergraduate business majors? What are your placement statistics for the online cohort specifically, not the full-time program? What percentage of your online students report a promotion or a career change within 6 months of graduation? Do you provide virtual career fairs, online recruiting portals, and personalized coaching on resume building, networking, and salary negotiation for remote students? A top-tier program will have a robust, well-funded career services department that treats its online students as first-class citizens. If their answers are fuzzy, or if they keep redirecting you to stats from their on-campus program, that's a massive red flag. Then there's the network. It's the most frequently cited benefit of an MBA, but how do you build one through a screen? You need to investigate how the program actively facilitates connection. Do they have a vibrant online community platform, like Slack, or a dedicated portal? Are there active student clubs organized around industries or interests? Do they host virtual networking events, guest speaker series with industry leaders, and informal virtual happy hours? Even more importantly, look for programs that include in-person residencies or immersions. These are typically weekend or week-long intensive sessions held on campus or in major business cities like New York, San Francisco, or even international hubs. Yes, they require travel and time away from work, but these experiences are often the crucible where real, lasting bonds are forged. You'll work on a high-stakes project with your team, grab dinner and drinks afterward, and build the kind of rapport that's difficult to replicate entirely online. A program that invests in these in-person touchpoints is a program that understands the profound importance of the human network. It's a sign that they are committed to delivering the full value of the MBA experience, not just a digital facsimile. Finally, who is teaching you? Are the classes taught by the same world-class, tenure-track faculty who teach in the full-time MBA program? Or are they primarily taught by adjuncts? How accessible are these professors? Top programs will ensure their best faculty are engaged with the online format and hold regular virtual office hours, making them just as accessible as they are to on-campus students. You're paying for access to brilliant minds. Make sure you're actually getting it. By methodically dissecting these elements, accreditation, rankings, curriculum, and the entire support ecosystem, you move from being a passive consumer of marketing hype to a savvy, informed evaluator, ready to find a program that will truly be a catalyst for your career. So now you have a framework. You know how to dissect a program's website, how to look past the glossy brochures and see the real machinery underneath. But this brings us to the ultimate question, the one that's probably been nagging at you since you first typed online MBA into a search bar. What's the payoff? What actually happens after you've spent 2 years juggling work, life, and virtual classes? Does the needle on your career actually move? Let's start with the most tangible, the most scrutinized metric of all, the return on investment. The cost of these programs is not trivial. We're talking about an investment that can rival a down payment on a house. And for that kind of money, you expect a return. The data here is compelling, though it requires nuance. The Graduate Management Admission Council, or GMAC, consistently reports that MBA graduates see a significant increase in their post-degree salaries. While specific numbers vary by school, industry, and individual, historical trends show that a median salary bump in the tens of thousands of dollars is a common outcome. But let's make this real. Imagine a professional we'll call Jessica. She's a talented operations manager at a mid-sized logistics company in the Midwest. She's been in her role for 5 years, making a solid $95,000 a year. She's respected, but she's hit a ceiling. The director-level roles, the ones with strategic oversight and a bigger stake in the company's future, keep going to candidates with advanced degrees and a broader financial vocabulary. Jessica enrolls in a top 25 online MBA program. The total cost is $100,000, a daunting figure. But she can pay for it over 2 years while still drawing her full salary. This is the critical advantage of the online format. Your income doesn't drop to zero. During the program, she dives into corporate finance, supply chain analytics, and marketing strategy. In her second year, a project for her strategy class requires her to analyze a real-world market entry problem. She decides to use her own company as the case study, identifying a new service line they could offer. She polishes the analysis, builds a financial model based on what she learned in her finance class, and presents it to her boss. Her boss is floored. He takes it to the VP. 3 months later, they launch a pilot program based on her proposal. 6 months after graduating, a new director of strategic initiatives role is created to lead that program. Jessica gets the job. Her new salary? $140,000. That's a $45,000 jump. Now let's do the math. Her salary increased by $45,000 per year. The program costs $100,000. In this scenario, she would recoup the entire cost of her tuition in just over 2 years, all while having gained the skills and the title she wanted. Everything after that point is pure return. This is the kind of calculation that prospective students should be making. It's not about the sticker price. It's about the break-even point and the long-term earnings potential. For many, the ability to keep working fundamentally changes the ROI equation, turning a massive expense into a manageable and often highly profitable career investment. Of course, the salary is only one piece of the puzzle. The second, and perhaps most misunderstood, element of an MBA's value is the network. The common critique of online programs is blunt. You can't build a network through a webcam. You miss the serendipitous hallway conversations, the late-night study sessions that forge lifelong bonds, the casual beers after class where real connections are made. And there is a kernel of truth to that. The social dynamics are fundamentally different. But to say an online network is worthless is to completely miss the point of how modern professional relationships are built. It's not a lesser network, it's a different kind of network. It's often more intentional, more diverse, and geographically unbound. Think about it. In a traditional in-person program, your network is largely constrained by who is willing and able to move to that specific city for 2 years. In an online program, your cohort is global. Your project teammate in your marketing class might be a brand manager for Nike in Oregon, while the person you're debating a finance case with is a private equity analyst in London. Let's consider another case study. We'll call him Ben. Ben is a software developer in Silicon Valley. He's brilliant at coding but feels siloed in his technical role. He wants to move into product management and eventually start his own company. He joins an online MBA from a well-regarded university. In his first term, he's placed in a virtual group with 4 other students. One is a U.S. Army major stationed in Germany, another is a surgeon in Chicago, a third is a consultant in Dubai, and the fourth is a marketing lead at a startup in his own city, San Francisco. Initially, it's awkward. They're just faces on a screen, but they have to collaborate intensely on a complex project. They use Slack to communicate constantly. They use Miro boards for virtual whiteboarding. They learn each other's strengths and weaknesses. Ben is the tech guru. The Army major is the logistics and operations expert. The surgeon brings an incredible attention to detail. Through this shared crucible of a difficult project, they build real professional trust. A year later, Ben has an idea for a health tech startup. Who does he call first? The surgeon from his group, who provides invaluable insights into the clinical workflow his product needs to fit into. When he needs advice on building a scalable operational plan, he reaches out to the major. His network isn't based on who he bumped into at the water cooler. It's a curated, global team of experts he has already worked with under pressure. Online networking isn't passive. It requires you to actively reach out, to schedule virtual coffees, to engage in alumni Slack channels, to show up for virtual speaker events. But for those who put in the effort, The result can be a powerful, diverse, and deeply practical professional support system that spans continents. Finally, let's talk about the skills. In 2026, a degree on a resume is table stakes. What employers are really hiring for are capabilities. Can you take a messy, ambiguous problem, structure it, analyze it with data, and present a clear, compelling recommendation? Can you lead a team of diverse individuals who may be scattered across the country? This is where the modern online MBA curriculum shines. It's no longer just about learning the theories of Porter's 5 forces. It's about applying them in a digital-first environment. The best programs are relentlessly focused on teaching you 3 core meta-skills. First, financial literacy at a strategic level. You learn to speak the language of the C-suite. You stop seeing a budget as a constraint and start seeing a balance sheet and an income statement as tools for telling a story about a company's health and future. Second, you learn data-driven decision-making. Programs are now heavily integrating courses on data analytics, business intelligence, and even the strategic implications of AI. You learn not just how to read a chart, but how to question the data, build a model, and make a decision under uncertainty. And third, and this is perhaps the most underrated benefit of the online format, you learn to lead and influence in a distributed world. Every group project is a real-world exercise in remote collaboration. You have to build consensus, manage conflict, and drive results with people you've never met in person. You become a master of the tools and techniques of modern work, not because you studied them in a textbook, but because you lived them for 2 years. In a world where hybrid and remote work are the new normal, graduating from an online MBA program means you've already completed a 2-year masterclass in the exact operational environment you'll be expected to lead in. So when we ask if it's worth it, we're really asking 3 things. Does it provide a financial return? The case studies and historical data suggest a strong potential for it. Does it provide a network? Yes, a different kind, a global intentional network for those willing to build it. And does it provide the right skills? Unequivocally, the top programs are designed to forge the strategic, analytical, and leadership capabilities that are in high demand. The combination of these 3, the ROI, the network, and the skills, forms the powerful value proposition of a modern online MBA. It's a comprehensive upgrade to your professional toolkit, but understanding the potential upside is only half the battle. This journey is not without its dragons. The path is littered with challenges that can derail even the most ambitious and organized student, challenges that business schools don't exactly advertise in their marketing materials. And it's these hidden pitfalls, the real struggles of the online MBA student, that we need to uncover next. The first and most pervasive pitfall is the illusion of total flexibility. The brochures paint a picture of you, sitting on a beach with a laptop, casually absorbing a finance lecture between sips of a piña colada. The reality is not that. While you don't have a physical commute, your time is not entirely your own. Many top-tier programs, in an effort to replicate the classroom experience, have mandatory synchronous sessions. Suddenly, that study anytime promise turns into a rigid schedule of live classes every Tuesday and Thursday from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're a working parent on the West Coast, that's 4 p.m. You're now faced with an impossible choice. Leave your job early twice a week, miss your kid's soccer practice, or fall behind in a class you're paying thousands for. The flexibility is in location, not always in time. And then there are the group projects. Your team members aren't down the hall. They're in Chicago, Miami, and sometimes even Dubai. Coordinating a simple meeting becomes a logistical nightmare of time zones and conflicting work schedules. The flexibility you were sold can quickly feel like a straitjacket, one that's even more constricting because it's woven into the fabric of your personal life, blurring the lines between work, school, and family until they all just become one giant stressful blob of obligations. The second hidden struggle is the profound sense of isolation. On campus, learning is a social activity. You grab coffee with a classmate to puzzle over a difficult accounting problem. You form a study group that meets in the library. You vent about a tough professor over beers after class. These informal interactions are the glue that holds the MBA experience together. They build camaraderie and a support system that is absolutely critical for getting through the intense pressure. Online, you are an island. You're staring at a grid of faces on a screen. The breakout rooms on Zoom are awkward and artificially brief. You can go an entire semester without having a real organic conversation with anyone. Think about it. In a physical classroom, you can read the room. You can see the confused look on someone's face and realize you're not the only one who's lost. Online, everyone's camera is on, but their emotional state is off. This digital distance creates a breeding ground for imposter syndrome. You struggle in silence, convinced you're the only one who isn't getting it. This isn't just about feeling lonely. It's a significant academic and mental health risk. The lack of a tangible community can be one of the most draining aspects of an online program, and it's something that no admissions counselor will ever mention. This leads directly to the third pitfall, the online group project from hell. Group work is a cornerstone of the MBA, designed to teach collaboration and leadership. But when you move it online, it can become a masterclass in frustration. You're tethered to 3 or 4 strangers whose work ethic and commitment levels are a complete mystery. There's always the ghost, the person who vanishes after the initial kickoff email, only to reappear the night before the deadline asking, "So what can I do to help?" There's the dictator, who steamrolls every idea without discussion. And there's you, stuck in the middle trying to herd cats across 3 different time zones using a disjointed chain of emails and Slack messages. In a face-to-face setting, social pressure works wonders. You can look someone in the eye and hold them accountable. Online, it's frighteningly easy for someone to ignore your messages and shirk their responsibilities. The consequence? You end up pulling all-nighters doing the work of 3 people just to protect your own grade. You learn less about strategic management and more about the infinite ways a project can go wrong when there's no real-world accountability. It's a huge source of stress that can poison the entire learning experience. Fourth, let's talk about the technology trap. We assume that in 2026 the tech will be seamless. That is a dangerous assumption. Every university uses a different learning management system, or LMS. Some are intuitive and brilliant. Others feel like they were designed in 1998. You'll spend the first few weeks just trying to figure out where to find your syllabus, how to submit assignments, and why the video lecture player keeps crashing. And this isn't just a minor inconvenience. Imagine you're taking a timed, high-stakes final exam. Many schools use remote proctoring software that uses your webcam to monitor you for cheating. The software might flag you for looking away to think, for your dog barking in the background, or for an unstable internet connection. I've heard stories of students getting locked out of an exam halfway through because of a software glitch, with the clock still ticking down. The support hotline is an automated message. The professor is unreachable. The panic is indescribable. Your grade, your GPA, your investment, it all hangs in the balance not on your knowledge of the material but on the whims of a buggy piece of software. The technological infrastructure of an online program isn't just a feature. It's the entire foundation. And when that foundation has cracks, the whole house can come down. Finally, the fifth and perhaps most critical pitfall, the career services disconnect. A huge part of the value proposition of a top MBA is the career transformation. This is driven by a powerful, well-oiled career services machine that facilitates on-campus recruiting, networking events, and direct access to top-tier employers. But for online students, that access can be different. You might be paying similar tuition, but you're not getting the same experience. Recruiters from McKinsey, Google, or Goldman Sachs come to campus for a reason. They want to meet students face-to-face, host dinners, and get a feel for the talent pool in person. As an online student, you're often relegated to a separate, less robust recruiting track. You'll get access to an online job board and maybe a few virtual career fairs, but you're missing out on the serendipitous, high-value interactions that happen on campus. You can't bump into a visiting executive in the hallway and strike up a conversation that leads to an internship. The playing field isn't always level. If your primary goal is to make a dramatic career pivot into a competitive industry like investment banking or management consulting, which rely heavily on the on-campus recruiting pipeline, the online MBA might put you at a significant disadvantage. You're dialing into the network while your on-campus counterparts are living in it. These aren't just minor annoyances. The myth of flexibility, the crushing isolation, the chaos of remote group work, the tyranny of flawed technology, and the diluted career support are fundamental challenges that can dramatically impact your return on investment. They represent the gap between the glossy marketing and the day-to-day reality of being an online student. Being aware of them isn't about being negative. It's about being a realist. It's about walking in with your eyes wide open. So, knowing all this, the incredible potential we talked about before, and now these serious hidden pitfalls, how do you make a decision? How do you sift through the hundreds of programs to find one that maximizes the upside while minimizing these risks? It comes down to knowing exactly what to look for, the non-negotiable green flags that signal a high-quality program, and the bright red flags that tell you to run in the other direction. And that is precisely where we're going next. So let's start with the biggest, brightest green flag you can find: accreditation. And not just any accreditation. I'm talking about the gold standard, the one that makes corporate recruiters and other academic institutions nod in approval. AACSB, the Association to Advance Collegiate Schools of Business. Less than 6% of the world's business schools have earned this. It's a rigorous multi-year process that evaluates everything from the quality of the faculty to the relevance of the curriculum. Why is this year non-negotiable? Because AACSB accreditation is a universal signal of quality. It tells an employer that your online MBA met the exact same high standards as the full-time, on-campus program at a top-tier school. It ensures your credits are transferable if you ever decide to pursue further education. And frankly, it protects you from diploma mills. If a school has AACSB accreditation, you know you're in the right ballpark. There are other legitimate accreditations like ACBSP or IACBE, but in the world of elite business, AACSB is the one that carries the most weight. Your first step, before you even look at the tuition, is to find the letters AACSB on their website. If you can't find it, that's not just a red flag. It's a stop sign. The second green flag is what I call program parity. This is critical. You need to verify that the online MBA is not a watered-down, MBA light version of the on-campus degree. How do you do that? First, look at the faculty. Are the online courses taught by the same tenured research-active professors who teach in the full-time program? Or are they taught by adjuncts or sessionals who aren't core to the university? A top-tier program will proudly state that their world-class faculty teach across all program formats. Dig into the faculty bios. Look them up. See their publications. Second, compare the curriculum. The core courses should be identical. The electives offered should be substantial. The degree you receive at the end should be the exact same Master of Business Administration as the one handed to students on graduation day at the physical campus. It shouldn't say online anywhere on the diploma. The school isn't hiding the online format, but they are certifying that the academic rigor and the degree earned are one and the same. This parity is your shield against the stigma we talked about earlier. Next, a massive green flag. A thoughtful blend of synchronous and asynchronous learning. A program that is 100% asynchronous, where you just watch pre-recorded lectures and submit assignments on your own time, can be incredibly isolating. It's a content library, not a community. The magic of an MBA happens in the discussion, the debate, the aha moment when a classmate from a totally different industry reframes a problem. A high-quality online program knows this. They will engineer opportunities for real-time connection. These are the synchronous components. Live weekly classes on Zoom, interactive case study discussions, group projects that require real-time collaboration. This is where you build your network. It's where you challenge and are challenged by your peers and professors. The flexibility of asynchronous learning is great for fitting school around your life, but the synchronous sessions are what transform it from a correspondence course into a true MBA experience. Look for a program that mandates or at least strongly encourages this live engagement. It's a sign they understand that an MBA is about more than just information transfer. It's about transformation. The fourth green flag, and this might be the most important for your long-term career, is dedicated and equal access career services. Do not settle for a generic university career center link. A premier online program will have career coaches specifically assigned to online MBA students. These coaches understand the unique challenges and opportunities of a working professional seeking to pivot or accelerate. You should have access to the exact same recruiting platform, the same on-campus recruiting events, even if you attend virtually, and the same company information sessions as full-time students. The alumni network is part of this. You need full, searchable access to the entire alumni database, not just an online MBA subgroup. This is your million-dollar Rolodex. Before you apply, I want you to do something. Find the number for the business school's career services and call them. Ask them directly. What specific resources do you provide for online MBA students? Can I see placement data specifically for the online cohort? How do you connect online students with alumni for informational interviews? Their answers will tell you everything you need to know. If they are vague or can't provide specifics, that's a problem. A great program will be proud to tell you exactly how they support their online students' career ambitions. Finally, look for immersive experiences. This might sound counterintuitive for an online program, but the best ones find ways to bring you into the fold. This could be a mandatory one-week orientation on campus to kick off the program. It could be optional global immersion trips where you travel with your cohort to another country, for a consulting project. It could be weekend-long residency periods on campus once a semester. These in-person touchpoints are invaluable. They solidify the bonds you've formed online. You go from a face on a screen to a real person you've shared a meal with, struggled through a case study with, and built a genuine connection with. These experiences bridge the final gap between online and on campus, creating a powerful, cohesive cohort. Programs that invest in these immersive components are signaling that they are committed to giving you a holistic, network-building experience, not just a credential. Now let's flip the coin and talk about the bright red flags, the things that should make you close the browser tab and never look back. The first and most obvious is an overly aggressive, for-profit model with high-pressure sales tactics. If you fill out an information request and your phone starts ringing off the hook within minutes, with an admissions advisor who sounds more like a car salesman, be very wary. These institutions often focus on speed and convenience over substance. Their language is all about enrolling today, fast-tracking your degree, and offering steep discounts if you sign up immediately. They'll have slick advertising, but when you dig into the substance, the faculty credentials, the career outcomes, the curriculum details, it's often incredibly thin. A reputable university doesn't need to pressure you. Their brand, their outcomes, and their alumni speak for themselves. The second red flag is the inverse of our first green one. A lack of proper accreditation, or worse, accreditation from a questionable accreditation mill. As we established, AACSB is the gold standard. If a program isn't AACSB accredited, you need to understand the implications. For some niche career paths it might not matter, but for traditional corporate roles in finance, consulting, or marketing at major U.S. companies, a degree from a non-AACSB school can be a significant disadvantage. Recruiters use it as a screening filter. Don't let an admissions advisor tell you it doesn't matter. Do your own research. Talk to people in the industry you want to enter. If they've never heard of the school or its accrediting body, that's a 5-alarm fire. A third massive red flag is a complete black box around career outcomes. If you can't find a detailed, transparent employment report for the online MBA program on their website, run. And I mean a real report with data on average salary increases, top employers, promotions received post-graduation, and the percentage of students who were seeking a new job and found one within 3 months. Top programs are proud of this data. They publish it and update it annually. Schools that hide this information are usually hiding something bad, that their graduates aren't getting the career results they expected. They might give you a single impressive average salary figure for the entire business school, lumping in the executive and full-time MBAs to inflate the numbers. Don't fall for it. Ask for the data specific to the online program. If they can't or won't provide it, they are not a serious contender for your investment. The fourth red flag is a program that is almost entirely asynchronous with little to no required interaction. If the main selling point is never attend a live class and work completely at your own pace, you have to ask yourself what you're actually paying for. You're not paying for a network. You're not paying for collaborative learning. You're not paying for access to world-class minds in a dynamic setting. You're essentially paying a very high price for a set of textbooks and pre-recorded videos. The MBA is a professional, collaborative degree. A program that strips away the collaboration to maximize flexibility is stripping away a core component of the value. It signals a low-effort, low-engagement model that is unlikely to be respected by employers or to provide you with the transformative growth you're seeking. Finally, a simple but telling red flag. A clunky, outdated, and unprofessional technology interface. Think about it. For an online program, the learning management system, the website, the application portal, this is their campus. If their digital campus is poorly designed, hard to navigate, and full of broken links, what does that say about the investment they're making in the student experience? It suggests they see the online program as a secondary cash cow, not a flagship offering. In 2026, there is no excuse for a poor user experience. If it's a struggle just to find basic information, imagine the frustration of trying to participate in a live class or submit a critical assignment on their platform. This is a clear signal to look elsewhere. Your due diligence on these green and red flags is the single most important part of this entire process. It's the difference between a career-altering investment and a costly mistake. But once you've found a program that checks all the right boxes, how do you make the final personal calculation? How do you decide if it's truly worth it for you? It begins with a single brutally honest question you must ask yourself in a quiet room with no one else around. Why really do I want this? Forget the prestige, forget what your boss might think, forget the LinkedIn updates. What is the fundamental problem in your career or your life that you believe this specific degree, from this specific school at this specific time will solve? Your answer to this question is the bedrock of your entire decision. If the answer is vague, like "I want to advance my career," you need to dig deeper. That's a wish, not a strategy. A powerful why sounds like this. I'm a senior engineer who consistently gets passed over for management roles because I lack the financial acumen to manage a budget and the strategic language to communicate with VPs. I need to bridge that specific gap to move from being a maker to a leader in my own tech company within the next 3 years. See the difference? One is a hope, the other is a diagnosis. Your why must be a diagnosis. Once you have that crystal clear diagnosis, you can perform what I call the personal P&L, your own profit and loss statement for this massive life decision. First, the loss column, which is really the investment. Tally up the sticker price, tuition, fees, technology costs, books. Let's say it's $80,000. But that's not the real number. The real number includes the immense opportunity cost of your time. You're going to spend conservatively 15 to 20 hours a week for 2 years on this. That's over 1,500 hours of your life. What is the value of that time? Could you have used those hours to build a side business? To learn to code? To get a specialized, less expensive certification that gets you 80% of the way there? Or, and this is a real cost, could you have spent it with your family, on your health, on your mental well-being? You must assign a value to this time. This isn't just an $80,000 decision. For many, it's a $150,000 decision or more, once you factor in the true cost of your most finite resource, your time. Now let's look at the other side of the ledger, the profit or the return. This is where most people get starry-eyed, looking at the average salary statistics on a school's marketing brochure. Don't do that. You need to calculate your potential return. Start with the tangible. Go to Glassdoor, PayScale, and LinkedIn. Find people who have the job title you want, in the city you want to live in, with a similar level of experience. What do they make? Now look at your current salary. The difference is your potential annual lift. Let's be brutally conservative. If the data says you could make $40,000 more, model it out with a $30,000 increase. Then calculate your break-even point. If the total investment is $100,000 and your after-tax salary increase is $20,000 a year, your financial break-even is 5 years. Are you comfortable with that timeline? This simple math cuts through the emotional hype and grounds your decision in reality. But the tangible salary bump is only one part of the equation. The most profound returns are often intangible, and while you can't put them in a spreadsheet, you must give them immense weight. What is the value of the network? In a top-tier online program, you're not just learning from professors. You're in digital breakout rooms with a director from a Fortune 500 company, a startup founder who just secured series of funding, and a healthcare administrator navigating complex regulations. These aren't just classmates. They are your future collaborators, your future employers, your future investors. The value of a single conversation with the right person in that network could eclipse the entire cost of tuition. What is the value of newfound confidence? The ability to walk into any boardroom, understand the conversation, and contribute with authority. That's not just a feeling. It's a career accelerant. And what is the value of a new mental framework? An MBA at its core is designed to rewire your brain. It teaches you to think not like an employee, but like an owner. You stop seeing problems and start seeing systems, levers, and opportunities. This shift in perspective is permanent, and its value compounds over the entire arc of your career. This brings us to the future-proofing factor. We're talking about getting a degree in 2026. The real question isn't how it will serve you in 2028, but how it will serve you in 2038 or 2048, when the jobs we know today might not even exist. The value of a great MBA program isn't in teaching you the specific software of today, but in developing the timeless skills of tomorrow. It's about leadership in a world of distributed teams. It's about strategic decision-making when AI can handle the raw analysis. It's about ethical reasoning in a world of immense technological power. It's about persuasive communication, complex problem-solving, and resilience. These are not skills that get outdated. They are skills that become more valuable as the world becomes more complex and uncertain. You're not just buying a credential for your next job. You're investing in a cognitive toolkit for the rest of your life. Before you make the final call, you must run one last gauntlet, the alternatives test. Be your own devil's advocate. What else could you do with that $100,000 and those 1,500 hours? Could you invest it in a diversified portfolio? Historical trends suggest that could grow significantly over a decade. Could you use it as a down payment on an investment property? Could you bootstrap your own company? Could you hire a personal executive coach, take targeted courses on platforms like Coursera in finance and marketing, and use the rest of the money to travel the world and build a global network on your own terms? If your goal is a specific skill like data analysis, would a dedicated data science bootcamp for a fraction of the cost be a more efficient path? You have to sit with these alternatives. If, after honestly considering them, you still conclude that the unique combination of structured curriculum, credential, and curated network that an MBA provides is the single best path to your very specific goal, then you can move forward not with hope but with unshakable conviction. So, after all of this, is an online MBA from a US university worth it in 2026? The answer is a resounding, unequivocal, it depends. It is not a lottery ticket. It is a force multiplier. It will not magically make an unmotivated person successful, but for the right person, it can be the single greatest professional investment they ever make. It's worth it if you've done the deep, honest work of defining your why. It's worth it if you've chosen a program whose brand, network, and curriculum directly service that why. It's worth it if you've run the numbers and are comfortable with your personal break-even point. And most critically, it's worth it if you are prepared to be an active, not a passive participant in your own education. You have to be the one who organizes the virtual study groups, who reaches out to alumni on LinkedIn, who takes on the challenging project even when you're exhausted. The degree doesn't hand you value. It gives you a platform to create value for yourself. The school opens the doors, but you have to walk through them and then build the room you want to be in. The ultimate ROI of an online MBA is not determined by the university, the professors, or the economy. It's determined by you. The question is not just whether the degree is a worthy investment. The real question is, are you ready to be the kind of student, the kind of professional, who will make it one?